video for Season 3. I'm gonna be covering what I think the best builds or the builds that I recommend playing this season. I'm gonna go kind of like over like the things that I just think are the meta straight up, and then some things that I just think they might be perfect for certain kind of players. So again, obviously, a lot of these builds are gonna be in S tier. But then there's going to be things that you might want to be playing even though they're not S tier, because they're new, because they're cool, because they're still strong, or because they fulfill a fantasy that you have never been able to experience before. So let's start with the most obvious one, Bear Beastmaster. I mean, I called out this build basically the moment they showed the note. I said, yeah, this is going to be broken. And I suspected there wasn't going to be anything more broken than this, even if they tried to, and I think I was right. Again, this is not gonna be the best clear, you can check out the tier list, on what this build is actually good at, and even though it's S overall, this is not a fast build, this is not a starter build, this is something that you switch for. So this is very important, if you play this build and then you say, Lizard, I'm level 35 and my bear is... Yeah, bro, follow the guide, be level 70, switch when the guide tells you, be patient, play something else for the first day, follow the leveling guide, whatever, yeah? Again, this build is overall gonna be like so much damage that, again, it's gonna be absolutely crazy. Again, I've added all the different planners, with a very small, like easy gear to get into, the transition to clever solution, and then eventually, you can go for the full DPS, billion damage bullshit. Again, this build is just gonna be absolutely crazy. It got giga buffed, I made a guide explaining why it works. Unfortunately, it's confirmed that we cannot use the T-Rex, so because it will steal the buff from Inheritance of the Erased. So we're gonna be playing with Reliquary Nest. Alternatively, if you don't want to play the mana tank, you want to go full damage, like I said, you go for the aspirational, primordial Earthquake for more levels. Okay. What else? Again, yeah, this build is absolutely crazy. You're gonna see damage numbers that you have never seen. This is gonna be basically, you're gonna see clips of 1000 corruption bosses dying to a single earthquake. This is the kind of power we're talking to. Like literally, the bear goes in, does one earthquake, and the boss is gone. And yeah, I suspect this is gonna obviously destroy Uber Abaroth. I know the Snap Party is playing this as DPS, the PoE guys, and rightfully so, obviously. They catch up on it and they've seen the math, and the math is mathing basically. All right, now the weakness of this build is definitely the clear, right? It has average clear, and if you are someone who can't stand that, there's alternatives. That alternative is Warpath. If you haven't played this spin to win build, again, it's another build that you don't really want to level to. You want to switch at level 70 once you have the axe and you have some mana, etc. You have the crit chance. But again, this build, when you play this build and you're mapping with it, you wonder why you played something else. It's like so brain dead. So much damage, so much AoE, so much speed. And the mana sustain early game got nerfed quite a bit because of the Voidwell nerf. Now it's 4 seconds instead of 3 seconds. But we compensate with like switching to a World Splitter and using the new boots for more attack speed. And eventually this build on the top end should be stronger than before, actually. So again, it's a spin to win, bro. If you like it, you like it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. And just be aware that until you can rely on Voidwell and you can properly stack Warrior's Fury over time, it might not, it doesn't really pop off. Again, it's definitely one of those builds that you feel like, this is not too strong, this is not too strong, and the moment you pop off, you feel like, what the fuck, am I in a fucking rocket? Like, this is gonna be absolute nuts. And again, this build was playable already last patch. You can see many clips of people playing this build, killing Abaroth in 1 minute. Uber Abaroth, that is, mapping, basically off-screening everything. It gets crazy. It's spin to win shenanigans. The weakness of this build is that it's not as tanky as some of the other Sentinels, because it's a Void Knight, you know, we're just like going basically on a 200 and we rely on Titan Heart and just our damage to stay alive. And obviously, if you want to stay alive, if you're playing hardcore, I'm sorry to say, but Judgment still the way to go. We lost quite a bit of healing, but if you took off half of all money Jeff Bezos have, Jeff Bezos would still be rich. So yeah, we lost half of it. You know, we went through a tough divorce, but we're still millionaires when it comes to the healing department. Again, we got the addition of this blossom thingy, this amulet that converts everything into, you know, converts everything, all the resistances into physical. So this, you know, is basically Omnis on steroids from last patch. Oriansai on steroids. So yeah, this guy, it was tanky, now it's going to be tankier, and we're going to do more damage because, you know, we learned to optimize the build a bit more over the season. So yeah, less healing, but overall way better build. The cleanse also got kind of hurt, but again, we weren't really going for the cleanse unless you are doing over Abaroth. So, and this build's still super safe, super tanky. If you liked it, if you didn't play it, if you want to try hardcore for the first time, this build is going to make you feel like an absolute god, okay? Again, nothing really changed on this one. Still strong. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if someone just rolls this again to try to kill Uber, blah, 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 right? On hardcore first, world first. But I could also see any of the builds that I mentioned doing it. I could really see someone leveling with a shaman, you know, and then switching for the bear for the one-shot. You know, you farm fast with the shaman, and then you destroy the boss with Earthquake. All right, this is something to stay on the radar. I don't think this build can't compare to the other ones, what they're good at. But I think this build is definitely gonna enable something that a lot of people have been striving to, and is Reflex Shaman. I mean, this build basically is gonna get a lot of damage, and it's explained in the guide how Reflect works. But basically, Reflect is very special because it completely ignores damage reductions and except monolith modifiers, but it ignores, you know, endurance, resistances, you know, area level. It basically ignores everything. So the damage you have on your stat sheet is actually the real damage. So this setup that I have right now, currently in the game, without using the chest piece, is doing around 300,000 reflect damage every time you get hit. So again, multiply that by 5 and apply that every half a second. You know, you're gonna see that this build is easily doing 2 million true damage, right? No mitigation, like true damage. Like that's the damage the mobs take against bosses per second, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if this build can literally go into Uber Abaroth and kill it while just walking around, basically, you know, in like a couple minutes. So again, this is a true AFK fantasy, absolutely AFK porcupine, stupid ass. You're gonna feel it's gonna be a pretty funky build. If you like weird ass shit and you wanna play something original, this one is definitely interesting. Very important to mention that you need quite a bit of unique. So again, level up with a shaman, a tornado, whatever, totem. And then once you have the 3 uniques, you know, the one for scaling damage, one for the bossing. Without this, you don't have any bossing. And this is very important for the mana sustain, the rage sustain. Again, I don't think you can compare it to the other builds that I mentioned, but it's definitely going to be one of those builds that, I mean, if you play it, you're going to kind of feel like, I think you're going to be asking yourself, why does this shit exist? You know? So, I mean, yeah, it's pretty cool build, pretty original. I cooked this one at the last time just because people were really asking for it. So yeah, I can confirm this is gonna be pretty fucking good. And then again, we covered kind of like the strongest bosser, the strongest mapper, the strongest hardcore, the coolest niche build, and then we're coming to something that for a lot of people is gonna be even more important than all of those. That of course is fun, okay? Again, this Flay thingy, I do think it's gonna be it's gonna have some problems, this ability, but it's gonna be extremely fun to play. So, you know, there's many different types of gearing. There's all the mana stackers, but this is something that we will see how this is actually work, and this is actually feels good to play. You might be able to abuse this, like in certain scenarios and in certain bosses, but for mapping, you know, mana might feel like absolute dog shit. So we went for this like full clear, full AoE, full fun setup, using skeletons for the mana sustain, because again the mana is gonna be tough on this build, and yeah, it's gonna be extremely fun. We're using the primordial flat damage because you get a shit ton of flat damage. Alternatively, you know, you could use one of the new primordials to try to solve mana that way, right? Like with the ring or with the helmet, or. But again, we have not been able to play this ability. So it has a very big disclaimer, you know, it has not been tested. This is kind of like when I'm going to be playing myself. I'm going to make a separate video explaining my starter fully. So if you guys want to follow that. But yeah, again, big disclaimer on this one. It might be me. I mean, it's going to be okay, right? But if you compare it to the builds that I mentioned, you know, in terms of damage and stuff, you gotta keep into and people say, oh, but my Flay theory crafted build does 50 million damage. You need to understand that my bear is gonna do 500 million on endgame gear with a single earthquake, right? So yeah, really fun build, highly recommended if you just want to play something that, you know, very active, very mobile, very zoomy, very. I think this is it's just gonna be fun as fuck, pretty much. And again, closing up the video saying, you know, at the end of the day, this tier list, these things, you play what you like, you play what you want. It's just a video game, you know. If you are someone who, you know, doesn't want to take risks, they just want to go for something strong, they don't have that much time to play, you want to follow up a guide, that's what the guide's there for. They're here to help. If you don't like them, you don't have to follow them. Who cares, right? I do the tier list and I don't follow them, right? I play whatever the fuck I want, but I just be aware that the tier list will be very accurate, and that yeah, but you don't have to follow it, you know, you play what you like. And yeah, before we stop the video, also honorable mentions to some builds that, again, I don't think they're like the best, but that are gonna be extremely cool. Again, anything bleed is gonna be absolutely amazing. I think the Lightning Blast build got a pretty good buff, you know, with the set. A lot of content creators, Frozen, Pinching Love, etc., shooting out this build too. It's gonna be massively popular. It's a fun build, you know. But again, if you compare it to an Earthquake and these kind of builds, in terms of damage, obviously it's gonna fall short. But again, really big shout out to this build. Still gonna be really cool, and probably it basically doubled the damage this patch with the buff. So this is probably the build that got the biggest jump in terms of power. Very nice. It was a very good build, so now it's even better. Then we have this build, which uses Primal Cadence, and basically what we're doing with the hammer throw is that we're gonna be throwing a single hammer, and that hammer is gonna basically create explosions that we suspect are gonna be able to absolutely clear the entire screen. So you're gonna throw one hammer, and the hammer is gonna go boom, 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 and everything's you're gonna feel like you're playing fucking Heralds on PoE or something. So again, if you're someone who enjoys that kind of stuff, this might be something for you. And on the same vein, we have the anything bleed, basically. These gloves, we don't know how hard they're gonna be to get because they're drop only from beasts, and it might require a very specific combination for you to get this item. But we do know that the explosions scale with area. The explosions can, you know, apply bleeds themselves. So again, I think you're gonna feel like, you know, gladiator bleed explosions vibes, you know, everything fucking blood everywhere. So again, definitely something I would look into exploring on a second character, just because we don't really know how hard rare these gloves are to get. So yeah, just keep that in mind, you know. Again, all of the builds in this tier list are completely amazing. I would try to stay away, you know, from C to D tier, etc. Lizard, can this build kill can kill Uber Abaroth? All of this will basically fucking, you know, Uber Abaroth is gonna feel like a minion with these builds. On A tier, you're gonna be able to do it, but you know, you're gonna have to be able to know the fight, and it's gonna be a few minutes long and stuff, and you will be able to kill it, but it will require some skill. With B tier, you're gonna have to be kind of like a pretty decent player to be able to do this. And on C tier, it's gonna, you know, I wouldn't be comfortable saying these builds can do it, even though someone could. You know what I'm saying? And again, D tier, yeah, don't get baited, you know, by Harvest. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys enjoyed my sharing my expertise, I guess. And yeah, I'll see you guys. I'm pretty tired. I don't know how well I'm gonna perform this patch because I'm feeling pretty bad in health wise. So yeah, I'll see you guys on the next one.